Conversation between Manu and Kardama, text 55. I will recite 3 times and then you can all take turns reciting. Adharmascha samedheta लोलुपैर्व्यङ्कुशैर्नृभिः शयाने त्वयि लोकोऽयं दस्युग्रस्तो विनङ्क्षति अधर्मश्च समेधेता लोलुपैर्व्यङ्कुशैर्नृभिः शयाने त्वयि लोकोऽयं दस्युग्रस्तो विनङ्क्षति अधर्मश्च समेधेता लोलुपैर्व्यङ्कुशैर्नृभिः शयाने त्वयि लोकोऽयं दस्युग्रस्तो विनङ्क्षति. Please chant.
हरे कृष्ण माताजी. अधर्मश्च समेधेता लोलुपैर्व्यङ्कुशैर्नृभिः शयाने त्वयि लोकोऽयं दस्युग्रस्तो विनङ्क्षति. हरे कृष्ण माताजी.
अधर्मश्च समेधेता लोलोपैर्व्यङ्कुशैर्नृभिः शयने त्वयि लोकोऽयं दस्युग्रस्तो विनक्ष्यति. हरे कृष्ण.
हरे कृष्ण. अधर्मश्च समेधेता लोलुपैर्व्यङ्कुशैर्नृभिः शयाने त्वयि लोकोऽयं दस्युग्रस्तो विनश्यति. हरे कृष्ण.
Anyone else?
Hare Krishna. Adharmacha samedita लोलुपैर्व्यङ्कुशैर्नृभिः शयने त्वयि लोकोऽयं दस्युग्रस्तो विनङ्क्षति.
Thank you. We'll do word to word translation. Adharmaha, unrighteousness. Cha, and. Samedheta, would flourish. Lolupaihi, simply hankering after money. Vyankushaihi, uncontrolled. Nribihi, by men. Shayane tvayi, when you lie down for rest. Lokaha, world. Ayam, this. Dasyu, by the miscreants. Grastaha, attacked. Vinangshati, it will perish. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Translation. If you gave up all thought of the world's situation, unrighteousness would flourish. For men who hanker only after money would be unopposed. Such miscreants would attack and the world would perish. If you gave up all thought, so who is speaking here? This is being spoken by Kardama Muni to Swayambhuva Manu. Swayambhuva Manu is the king. He is the emperor for the whole Bhumandala, the earth planet consisting of the 7 islands, not the islands that we know now. These are Jambudvipa, Plakshadvipa, Shalmali Dvipa, the 7 islands. He is the emperor for the whole Bhumandala. So Kardamuni is speaking to him and he's saying, if you gave up all thought of the world's situation, unrighteousness would flourish. For men who hanker only after money would be unopposed. Such miscreants would attack and the world would perish. Purport. because the scientific division of 4 varnas and 4 ashramas is now being extinguished. The entire world is being governed by unwanted men who have no training in religion, politics, or social order. And it is in a very deplorable condition. What is in a very deplorable condition? The entire world. In the institution of 4 varnas and 4 ashramas, there are regular training principles for the different classes of men. Regular training principles for the different classes of men. Just as in the modern age, there is a necessity for engineers, medical practitioners, and electricians, and they are properly trained in different scientific institutions. Similarly, in former times, the higher social orders, namely the intelligent class, the Brahmanas, the ruling class, the Kshatriyas, and the mercantile class, the Vaishyas, were properly trained. Bhagavad Gita describes the duties of the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras. When there is no such training, one simply claims that because he is born in a Brahmana or Kshatriya family, he is therefore a Brahmana or a Kshatriya, even though he performs the duties of a Shudra. Such undue claims to being a higher caste man, make the system of scientific social orders into a caste system, completely degrading the original system. Thus, society is now in chaos, and there is neither peace nor prosperity. It is clearly stated herein that unless there is the vigilance of a strong king, impious, unqualified men will claim a certain status in society, and that will make the social order perish. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupah Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitamscha. He Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you all very much for joining in the Bhagavatam class at ISKCON Philadelphia this morning. We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 21. And this chapter is entitled Conversation between Manu and Kardama. So, Kardama Muni had performed tapasya First of all, Kardama Muni was ordered by his father Brahmaji to produce children. So in order to carry out the order of his father, he performed tapasya for 10,000 years. And he got the audience of the Supreme Lord. And the Lord blessed him, saying that, of course, he offered wonderful prayers to the Lord. Why was he performing tapasya? In order to produce children, he needed a wife. So he was performing tapasya to the Lord to get a wife, so that he can fulfill the order of his father. So the Lord said, I have already made all arrangements. And that girl, the person that I've arranged for you is according to your nature. And she's also a yogini. You're a yogi. She's also a yogini. And her father, Swayambhuva Manu, is going to come to you day after tomorrow, along with his wife and daughter. So you marry her. And after you marry her, because you pleased me by your devotion, even though you get married, marriage means this is material life. Varna and ashrama is for those who are still in the bodily concept of life. So in 4 ashramas, you have brahmachari, grihastha, vanaprastha, and sannyas. So grihastha ashram. So it's going to be entanglement. For 10,000 years, he performed tapasya, but now he's going to get married. So that's going to be an entanglement, isn't it? He's going to get a wife. He'll have a family. He'll have children. So this is going to distract him from his devotion. But the Lord assured him that because you have pleased me by your devotion, even though I am giving you material benediction, I am giving you a wife and you'll become the father of 9 daughters, but you will also come out of this bondage. You will give up your family and I'm going to appear. I myself am going to come as your son. And then you will, after I appear, you will leave home and you will be able to, you will become a pure devotee. That means 24/7, rendering only direct devotional service to the Supreme Lord. Then what was it that Kardama Muni was doing before that, while he was married? He's already a devotee. He got darshan of the Supreme Lord. But in devotion also you have different types. So he will be a devotee, but also he will be doing karma. What is that? As a husband, as a grihastha, he will be doing karma. That is karma only. Grihastha ashram, that is karma. Karma Mishra Bhakta, he will be. But eventually, you will become a pure devotee. You will give up all this and you will become a pure devotee. Like that. The Lord blessed him. And then the Lord disappeared from there. Of course, there are so many important lessons here that it is hard to not mention them, but then we'll lose time. But the message here is, when you get some material benedictions by the Lord's blessing, by doing devotional service, even if you get material results from the Lord, they are not going to be inauspicious. But when you do karma and you get material results, they are going to bind you. So that's the message here. So the Lord said, you will not be bound. So even if he gives you material results, the Lord takes responsibility to bring his devotee out of that bondage also. He will bring him out. So he assured that to Kardama Muni. And then the Lord went back on his Garuda. Then we see Swayambhuva Manu sitting on his chariot along with his wife and daughter. He traveled all over the world and then he came to Bindu Sarovar. Bindu Sarovar is the place where the Lord appeared to Kardama Muni. That's where Kardama Muni's ashram is. So when Swayambhuva Manu came, Kardama Muni had just completed his daily worship oblations that he was offering in the fire. And he was so effulgent. He was so fresh. Even though he performed tapasya for 10,000 years, when Hiranyakashipu performed tapasya, what was his condition? He was just bones. But Kardama Muni, he performed tapasya, but he's looking so fresh and effulgent. Why? Because he got the darshan of the Lord. He heard the sweet voice of the Lord. So he was fresh and very effulgent. So then we also see etiquette here. Swayambhuva Manu, when he came, he offered obeisances to Kardama Muni. Why? Because Kardama Muni is a Brahmana. Swayambhuva Manu is a Kshatriya. This is the etiquette. A Kshatriya will honor Brahmana, a sage. And that too is in the, he's a tapasvi. He came and he offered obeisances. And then he sat down. He didn't say anything. This is also etiquette. When the guest comes, it is the host who should speak first. The host should greet the guest. Not that the guest will come and the guest only will start talking. So therefore, Swayambhuva Manu offered obeisances. Then Kardama Muni also gave him a seat. He received him properly. Gave him water to wash his feet and gave him an asana to sit down. And then he started speaking. So when he started speaking, this is what he's saying. He said that, one second, I'll just go back to those verses. So we are in text 55 today. Kardama Muni is saying like this in the text 50, he's saying, the tour you have undertaken, O Lord, is surely intended to protect the virtuous and kill the demons, since you embody the protecting energy of Sri Hari. That means the king is a representative of the Supreme Lord. The way the Lord is managing this whole universe through the demigods. Yes, the demigods receive their potency from the Supreme Lord. And with that potency, they are managing this universe. Similarly, the ruler, the king, receives a portion of the potency of all the demigods. And therefore, he is a representative of the Supreme Lord. Okay? You are the king, a representative of Bhagavan. And you travel with your army on a chariot in order to subdue the evil elements in society and to protect the citizens. And also in the next verse, Kardama Muni said that the king, the first quality of a king is to conquer his senses. Only one who conquers his senses is qualified to be the king, not otherwise. And then in the next verses, he's saying how Swayambhuva Manu, if he had not done what he's doing now, what would be the condition of this world? He's traveling all over the world on his chariot. Because of this, the rogues and thieves, they are not able to perform their nefarious activities. So we see the king's duty is to protect the Varnashrama Dharma. We see in this purport, text 55, Srila Prabhupada is saying, because the scientific division of 4 Varnas and 4 ashrams is now being extinguished, the entire world is being governed by unwanted men who have no training in religion, politics, or social order. And it is in a very deplorable condition. Kardama Muni is glorifying Swayambhu Manu as a Kshatriya, and he's saying what will happen if we don't have a qualified Kshatriya as the king. So when you say a king, all 8 actually, you need the 4 social orders and the 4 spiritual orders. If you see yesterday's purport, you will see Srila Prabhupada said, the whole purpose of this Varnashrama system is the spiritual progress of the subjects. But when one forgets the spiritual progress, and another significant point here is this Varnashrama system is based on what? Chaturvarnyam Maya Srishtam. Krishna says this Varnashrama system is created by him. In yesterday's purport, Srila Prabhupada also says that Varnashram system is Bhagavan Rachita. It is not Srila Prabhupada is saying. This is said in Bhagavatam. Kardama Muni is saying to Swayambhu Manu. The king is protecting this Varnashrama system which is created by the Lord. It is the duty of the king to protect this Varnashram system which is created by the Lord. But what is the purpose of this Varnashram system? The purpose of this Varnashram system is to bring all the citizens, all the members, subjects to spiritual advancement, to help them progress in spiritual life. That's the purpose of Varnashram system. Then how should this Varnashram system be? This Varnashram system should be based on guna and karma, based on the quality. Guna means quality. Karma means activity, the work that you do. For you to do a particular type of work, first you have to be trained. In today's purport, Srila Prabhupada says, the way in the society today, engineers are trained, lawyers are trained, doctors are trained. You have to go and study in the university, and then you are given some training at workplace, then you work. Similarly, in a proper Varnashrama society, the Brahmanas are trained, Kshatriyas are trained, Vaishyas are trained. Where are they trained? They are trained in Gurukula. But before giving them the training, first of all, their nature is identified. Guna, karma, vibhagashaha. Your guna has to be identified. And then based on your guna, you will be given training. Srila Prabhupada gave us a practical system how to bring this system into practice. He said, first of all, we need Varnashrama colleges. Start a Varnashrama college. He said, every center of ISKCON should be, not that should have, should be a Varnashrama college. Our ISKCON centers are educational institutions. They are not meant just like a place of, a place where some rituals are performed. Rituals are important, no doubt, but mainly there has to be education. Our problem today is because of not knowing our philosophy properly, we are not able to answer when somebody asks us questions. And taking advantage of our not knowing our philosophy properly, seeing our confusion, others are able to exploit. We should know our philosophy properly. What is Krishna saying in Bhagavad Gita? What do you mean by Varnashram system? What do you mean by Sanatan Dharma? People use those words like that. What do they mean actually? In purport, Srila Prabhupada is time and again saying, without Varnashrama system, it is not possible. It is the duty of the king to protect this Varnashrama system. But then we see that as, this is not for us now today. It is, we study it like some history or something. It used to be like that back in the day, but it's not applicable today. Without that, we cannot progress. So the point is, Varnas and Ashramas, how do you identify a person's Varna? Krishna gives this in Bhagavad Gita. I will share it with you. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, text 40 onwards. Let me share the screen. Oh. Text 18, chapter 18, text 40. There is no being existing either here or among the demigods in the higher planetary systems which is freed from these three modes born of material nature. First thing that we should understand is that every one of us, it's not about which age. It's not that only in Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, people were influenced by the modes of, goodness, passion, and ignorance. No, everything in this material creation is made of these three modes only. My body is made of three modes. My mind, intelligence, everything is made of the three modes. All the sense objects are made of three modes. Whatever laddu, rasgulla, whatever I'm eating, they're all made of three modes of material nature. Of course, prasadam is different. But the body itself is made of the three modes. My gross body, subtle body. How I'm getting this particular body? Karanam guna sangosya sadasad yoni janmasu. Krishna says, Karanam guna sangosya. Because of my association with those modes in the past, I get a certain type of karma by that association. And I'm carrying that karma. Based on that karma, I'm awarded a particular subtle body. So every body that you see, you can understand this body is made of mode of goodness, passion, ignorance. It's a combination, but the proportion will vary. If it is a demigod's body, it is mostly in the mode of goodness. In this world also, when we talk about Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, the Brahmana's body is made of mode of goodness. Kshatriya's body is made of passion. Vaishya's body is made of passion and ignorance. Shudra's body is made of ignorance. Not just on this earth, even the animals, their bodies are made of ignorance. Then you have the celestials, the demigods, you have Lord Brahma. All these bodies are made of those 23 elements, and these 23 elements are made of these three modes. So one is the ingredient and the other thing is the influence. So this Maya is acting in two ways. One is the ingredients themselves are coming from Maya, and the other thing is the influence of those modes on each person based on his karma. That's what you call a person's nature, swabhava. When you say swabhava, it is his subtle body, my mind, my intelligence, my false ego, my chitta, my senses. If they are primarily under the influence of the mode of goodness, then my swabhava is that of a Brahmana. If my subtle body, again, my mind, intelligence, etc., is under the influence of passion, then my swabhava, my nature is that of a Kshatriya. If my subtle body is under the influence of passion and ignorance, then my swabhava is that of a Vaishya. And if my subtle body is under the influence of ignorance, then my nature is that of a Shudra. Can you change this? This is there already. Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, it's already there in the Swabhava. It just needs to be identified. It is not about labeling someone externally. Certainly it is not by birth. We see even in Srimad Bhagavatam, when you go to the 9th canto, we see kings in the Surya Vamsa, Chandra Vamsa. You take King Yayati, in his sons, not one king, several kings you will see. If a king had 100 sons, some of them will become Vaishyas, some of them will become Kshatriyas, some of them will become Brahmanas. How is that? If your Varna is by birth, then a king's sons, all his sons should become Kshatriyas. How is it that some of them in Bhagavatam we see, some of them become Vaishyas, some of them become Brahmanas? That should tell us that Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra is not by birth. It is by your quality, your swabhava. It is already there in you. Your body is made of those modes. If you are identified, if your nature, who will identify your nature? Again, that person is trained to identify. Based on Shastra, he is trained how to identify who's a Brahmana, who's a Kshatriya, who's a Vaishya, who's a Shudra. There is a system. When a boy goes to the Gurukul, he is, again, whatever I'm saying, these are all told by Srila Prabhupada. How to conduct, how to start a Varnashrama college, how to identify the students in Gurukul as Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Shudras. You know, we have these entrance exams for colleges. There's a common entrance exam for, let's say, for engineering. Those who get the best grades, they are allowed to go into computer science. Those who are not able to make to that department, their grades are little less, then they're allowed to go to electronic engineering. Like that. There's a hierarchy. At least in India, they follow that. Then you have mechanical and civil engineering like that. Similarly, when the boys come, there's a common test to see if this boy has the nature of a Brahmana. They will conduct some tests. Through the test, whoever passes that test, he is sent to the Brahmana class. Now he will be trained as a Brahmana. The rest of them are all sent to a Kshatriya class. And the test is conducted. Whoever passes that test, he is sent to a Kshatriya class for training. And the others are tested for Vaishya. And those who pass, they are sent to a Vaishya class for training. And the remaining are considered to be Shudras. They don't need training in Gurukula. They are not called Dvijas. Dvija means a twice born. He studies the Vedas in the Gurukul. And in Vedas also, it is not that all the Vedas are taught to everyone. After identifying your Varna, the teaching is given accordingly. For a Kshatriya, the training is given how to rule. Dharma Shastras are taught to him. Anvikshiki, Trayi, Varta, Dandaniti. This is education, 4 types of education. Anvikshiki means this is spiritual education. This is common for everyone. Everybody is taught. Anvikshiki means I'm not this body, I'm spirit soul. This understanding is given to everyone. But then as far as his occupational duties, what type of work he has to do, that training is different. Only that section of Veda is taught to the Brahmanas, how to perform rituals, how to do worshipping activities, yagyas, etc. This type of training is given to the Brahmanas. Then to the Kshatriyas and Vaishyas also, accordingly. Now, after this is identified, I'm talking about us in ISKCON, Srila Prabhupada's program. So, these are devotees who are initiated. The difference between, this is called Daiva Varnashrama. The difference between Daiva Varnashrama and Varnashrama, which Srila Prabhupada says is not possible to follow in this yuga. That Varnashrama is where you are performing elaborate yagyas. Karmakanda activities are performed. Demigod worship is done. That's not possible in this Kali Yuga. How will you perform such elaborate yagyas with so much ghee and all that? No. In Kali Yuga, only one yagya is practical, Sankirtan yagya. So when you say Daiva Varnashrama Dharma, it means the goal is pure devotional service. All of us have come to Krishna consciousness. We have taken shelter of a spiritual master. We've taken Diksha. How to progress from here? Srila Prabhupada said, the brahmacharis, vanaprastha, sannyasis, they live in the temple. So full time they have engagement. What will the grihasthas do? This Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, the grihasthas have to be divided because this is about their occupational duty. What type of work they will do for their livelihood. So these devotees, by having Gurukula is for small boys, but Varnashrama college is for grown-ups. In a Varnashrama college, you have to identify the devotee who is aspiring to be a pure devotee, who wants to get love of Godhead, who wants to go back to Goloka. For these devotees, they're all Dvijas, and this is given by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Dvija means twice born. You have taken your Brahman initiation, twice born. But in Dvija also, you have, what type of Dvija? Are you a Brahmana, Kshatriya or Vaishya? For your occupational duties. Everybody is aspiring for pure devotional service. But as far as your work for your livelihood, what type of work are you doing? Are you doing the work of a Brahmana, the work of a Vaishya, Kshatriya or Shudra? And this does not bar anyone from becoming a pure devotee. Pure devotee means he is completely surrendered to the Supreme Lord. When one is completely surrendered to the Supreme Lord, then 24/7 he will be doing only direct devotional service. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atma Nivedanam, and more. 64 angas are given by Srila Rupa Goswami in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. He will be doing only that 24 hours. He will not go and work to earn his livelihood, thinking that unless I do this work, how am I going to maintain my family? He will not think like that. Even if he does that work, he will do it only to set example to others. Personally, he doesn't feel any dependence that unless I do this job, I will not be able to maintain myself. A pure devotee will not think like that. Is Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur a pure devotee? Yes. Did he have a family? Yes. Was he doing a job? Yes. But what was his consciousness? Are we training our devotees to develop this type of consciousness? For that, to develop that type of consciousness, to come to that level, we need the strong association of devotees. And in that association of devotees, we should be hearing the glories of Krishna as much as possible. But now our devotees are working for non-devotees outside. Most of our time is spent in the association of non-devotees, which is in the modes of passion and ignorance. Therefore, even chanting 16 rounds has become a big challenge. Are we even looking at that goal where we want to come to the stage of chanting 24 hours like Haridas Thakur? Is that our goal? Are we even working towards that? So the method which is given, it does not matter whether it is Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, Kali Yuga. Simple thing is, you have to see the qualification. The qualification for one to do pure devotional service is firm faith in Krishna, firm faith in Bhakti. If you have firm faith in Krishna, the symptom of firm faith is surrender, full surrender. You are completely dependent on the Lord. You consider only Krishna to be your protector, your maintainer, and you accept however he keeps you. You're not making any endeavors to maintain a certain standard of life or whatever. You're not trying or even treat yourself. You depend on the Lord completely. That's the consciousness. Externally, you may still do these things just to show the people. But the consciousness of the devotee, Krishna consciousness is important. In this world, you are seeing the Creator in everything, in every action, at every moment. You may not see him physically, but conceptually, you are convinced the Lord is present everywhere as every atom. When you see the sun, you're seeing this light is the light of Krishna. That is a pure devotee. When one comes to that stage, he does not need Varnashrama Dharma. No need. Varnashrama Dharma is for those people who did not get that qualification yet. We did not get the qualification to do pure devotional service yet. How to come to that level? You have to be in the mode of goodness. To be in the mode of goodness, you have to do your occupational duties according to your nature. This is a great science. You see, you already have a nature. Huh? Each one of us has a nature. That nature has to be identified. And then work has to be assigned to us. First of all, training has to be given. For women, there is no separate training about Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, because women learn at home how to be chaste and faithful. This is the training for women. Men are trained in Gurukula. Boys are trained in Gurukula. And this is also very scientific. You see, if you train a girl to be a Brahmana and she ends up marrying a Kshatriya, problem. But if you just train the girl to be chaste and faithful, wherever she gets married, because she's trained how to be faithful to her husband, how to be chaste to her husband, towards her husband, she will learn. Under her husband, she will learn. And her mother-in-law, she will learn how she should conduct herself in that family. So therefore, for women, there is no separate training as, you know, Brahmana's occupational duties, Kshatriya's occupational. No, she will learn that at home. But the men are to be trained. And they're trained according to their nature. What is the science here? Why do we need this Varnashrama, especially these 4 Varnas? Why we need? I'm telling you. When you are in the conditioned state, what is the What is the consciousness of the person? Conditioned state means I am this body, isn't it? We identify the self as this body. And anything which is related to this body is mine. This is the conditioned state. This type of identification is in the modes of passion and ignorance. To see yourself as this body is in the mode of passion or in the mode of ignorance. You have to be lifted above this bodily consciousness to realize that I'm not this body, but I'm spirit soul. How can you rise above the bodily consciousness? Your karma will help you. You do work, but the quality of that work is very important. Generally, in the conditioned state, people do fruitive work. Fruitive work. That means I do some work, seeing the result it fetches me. I will choose a particular job, seeing how much salary it gives me. And if there's another profession which pays more, which gives me more material facilities, I switch my job. What will happen when you do this? It keeps you on the bodily platform. When you're changing your profession, your work, based on the result that it is giving you, this is keeping you on the bodily platform. Rather, when you do your work, your occupational duty, because this is assigned to you, this is your dharma, this is my duty. I have to do this because this is my duty. That means, regardless of the result that it is giving me, sometimes there is profit, sometimes there is loss. It does not matter. I will not do that duty because of the result. I will do my duty because this is my dharma, this is my duty. And naturally, in any field, in any duty, any job that you do, there will be pains and pleasures. It is not always a cakewalk. It's not that always it's going to be wonderful. There will be difficulties. There will be challenges. In the face of dualities, you have to remain steadfast in your duty. Sometimes there is praise, sometimes there is blame, criticism. Sometimes you're rewarded, sometimes there is, loss. Sometimes there's victory, loss. Under all these circumstances, you will continue your duty. You know what happens? When there is difficulty and you're pushing forward with your duty, you know what happens at that time? In spite of that difficulty, if you're able to do, you will realize, how am I able to do it? It lifts you above the bodily platform. Try to understand. In spite of severe opposition or physical pain, you are still able to do your dharma. You don't quit your dharma. That separates you from that body. You are able to, physically it is not possible to do, but still you are able to do it. That gives you the realization, I'm not this body, I'm spirit soul. But when will you be able to tolerate it? Krishna says, Matra sparshastu kaunteya shitoshna sukha dukkada. Agama payano anityas tam stitikshasva bharata. You have to tolerate happiness and distress. They will come and go like winter and summer seasons, but you have to tolerate. Krishna is saying. When will you be able to tolerate? When the work that you're doing matches your swabhava. This is a very, very scientific system. If the work that you do is according to your swabhava, according to, not like here, it is swabhava is in the nature, in the heart. I mean in the heart. So if it is according to your swabhava, according to your nature, then you will be able to tolerate it. Because it's your swabhava. You can push forward because it's your nature. But if it is against your nature, you are not a kshatriya. But you're forced, you're drafted into the army. Are you able to go and fight and you're not even trained properly? You're not trained. In an emergency, there's a war, so you're just pulled in and you're made to stand there. It's not your nature, nor were you trained. So training is very, very essential. And after training, there has to be a king who will ensure that everybody is doing his particular duty. He is not doing someone else's duty. I am trained as a Brahmana. I see that the Vaishya is getting more money and he has more comforts. So therefore, I will decide I will also do business now. I will open a shop and I will start a business because it fetches me more money. That will not help in spiritual progress. Because you're going after material results. It keeps you on the material platform. So, this Varnashrama Dharma is a very scientific system. The whole purpose of Varnashrama Dharma is to elevate the conditioned soul from the material platform to the spiritual platform. The important thing that is to be understood is up to what time one has to follow this Varnashrama system. There is a qualification. Until you get firm faith in devotional service, you have to follow Varnashrama system. But also, what type of Varnashram system will you follow? In Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 9. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's travels to the holy places in South India. In the conclusion of that chapter, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami tells us, after concluding, he's saying that in this Kali Yuga, no other dharma is possible. The only dharma that is possible in Kali Yuga is that which is given by Vaishnava Acharyas and that which is described in Vaishnava Shastras. That which is described in Vaishnava Shastras, Vaishnava scriptures, and that which is given by Vaishnava Acharya, that's the only dharma that you can follow. No other dharma is possible. That means even the Varnashrama dharma, when we follow, we will only follow that the way it is described, it is given to us by our Vaishnava Acharyas. It's given by the Goswami, Srila Sanatan Goswami explains in Hari Bhakti Vilas. Srila Gopal Bhatta Goswami describes in Satkriya Saradipika. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur gives more details to Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Before Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, there was no brahmachari, there was no sannyas ashram, nothing. There was only Babaji's. It was Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur who instructed Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur to introduce this Daiva Varnashrama system. Why? Because in the name of pure devotional service, Babaji means we are beyond all varnas and ashrams. But they didn't get the qualification to do pure devotional service. They gave up their duties in society. They left home, they left their occupational duties. They went to Vrindavan. And after going to Vrindavan, what did they do? If you don't have firm faith, you won't do Shravanam Kirtanam. You may do for some time, and after that your mind goes here and there. They started smoking, engaging in illicit sex. They became so degraded, the Babajis, that in society, the educated people would consider Vaishnavas to be the most degraded people. If you have to call someone a bad name, they would call him a Vaishnava. It was to that extent the Vaishnava's name was completely degraded because of these Babajis who left everything, but then they engaged in sinful activities in the holy dham. We don't want that. We don't want to be pretender devotees. Be honest. Do your particular duty. Follow the Varnashrama Dharma. And side by side, you try to cultivate your faith in Krishna consciousness. How to cultivate this faith? In the association of devotees, you have to hear the glories of bhakti. Mainly, we have to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and of course, the activities of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. By hearing more and more, your faith will increase. And as your faith increases, you're moving towards pure devotional service. How do you know if you have firm faith or not? By your surrender. To what extent are you completely dependent on the Supreme Lord under all circumstances? To what extent are you experiencing? See, experiencing means conceptually, you're convinced that not a blade of grass moves without the will of Krishna. You're seeing Krishna. You're convinced about Krishna's presence in everything. At every moment, you're conscious of Krishna. This is a pure devotee. To come to that stage, we need firm faith. To cultivate firm faith, we have to be in the mode of goodness. Varnashrama Dharma helps us to be in the mode of goodness. If we are not following Varnashrama Dharma, then we will be in the modes of passion and ignorance. Then whatever we are hearing, it's only going back, like rebound, right? Like the ball hits and goes back. So you hear something, it just goes back. And whatever I'm hearing, I'm not even able to grasp the actual message. This is the pathetic condition of devotees who have come in the association of devotees, but still they are not able to progress further. Even in 1977, in his last days, if you hear the final lesson, you will see there Srila Prabhupada is talking about establishing this Varnashrama Dharma. We are not about identifying someone as, this material body, that I am Brahmana, so I am superior to you, and you are Shudra, you are less than me. That is caste system, Srila Prabhupada said. Caste system is based on birth. We are not interested in caste system. So I'll just conclude by just reading this from Bhagavad Gita. What is Krishna saying? There is no being existing either here or among the demigods in the higher planetary systems which is freed from these three modes born of material nature. Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Shudras are distinguished by the qualities born of their own nature. You have to identify everybody. Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra is there. That is the nature that has to be identified. Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudras are distinguished by the qualities born of their own natures in accordance with the material modes, O chastiser of the enemy. Then Krishna tells, how do you recognize a Brahmana? Peacefulness, self-control, austerity, purity, tolerance, honesty, knowledge, wisdom and religiousness. These are the natural qualities by which the Brahmanas work. Heroism, power, determination, resourcefulness, courage in battle. Where are the Kshatriyas who are fighting in battle now? Our leaders in the system of democracy, which leader is going and fighting on the battlefield? They send the poor soldiers who are paid their salaries. Kshatriya, you look at Yudhishthir Maharaj, Pandavas, Parikshit Maharaj, they are the first ones to be standing leading the armies. That is a Kshatriya. Where is a Kshatriya today? Heroism, power, determination, resourcefulness, courage in battle, generosity, and leadership are the natural qualities of work for the Kshatriyas. They have to be trained. When you see these qualities, then proper training has to be given. In today's purport, Srila Prabhupada is emphasizing on the importance of training. Farming, cow protection, and business are the natural work for the Vaishyas, and for the Shudras, there are labor and services to others. By following his qualities of work, every man can become perfect. It's not that from Shudra you have to become a Vaishya, and then from Vaishya you have to progress to a Kshatriya, from Kshatriya you have to progress to Brahmana, then from Brahmana you go to transcendence. Is it like that? No. By following his qualities of work, every man, that means regardless of whether you are Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, from Shudra directly will become transcendental. Every man can become perfect. Now please hear from me how this can be done. So the other details I won't go into now. The time is over. But just look at the purport one more time, what Srila Prabhupada is saying. Because the scientific division of 4 varnas and 4 ashrams is now being extinguished, the entire world is being governed by unwanted men who have no training in religion, politics, or social order, and it is in a very deplorable condition. We are seeing this all over the world. All over the world. Why this problem? Because there's no training. Because this varna, the system of 4 varnas and ashramas is being extinguished. And what happens in an institution of varnas and ashrams? There are regular training principles. Training is essential. Where is that training today? When we say that our society is helping, we are already progressing. We are progressing towards pure devotional service. How are we progressing? We don't need this training if we are already pure devotees. Anya abhilashita shunyam jnana karmadhyanavritam anukulena krishnanushīlanam. If we are there, then yes. If we are not there, then we need this training. In the institution of 4 varnas, 4 ashrams, there are regular training principles for the different classes of men, just as the modern age. So yeah, like we have in today's engineers, etc., training is done. Similarly, in former times, the higher social orders, like the Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishyas, are properly trained. See, Shudras are not mentioned. You don't have to go to Gurukul to get training about Shudras. And in today's world, everyone is working like a Shudra, taking salary, being employed by someone else. Bhagavad Gita describes the duties of Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Shudras. When there is no such training, one simply claims that because he's born in a Brahmana or Kshatriya family, he's therefore a Brahmana Kshatriya. We don't want this caste system. We are not interested in this caste system. Because I'm born in a Brahmana family, therefore I'm a Brahmana. Even though he performs duties of a Shudra. Everyone is working, but they call themselves, I'm a Kshatriya, I'm a Vaishya, I'm a Shudra, and they have their titles, last names, Tripathi, Chaturvedi, Dvivedi, and all that. But are you working like a Brahmana? What are the activities of a Brahmana? Patan, Patan, Yajan, Yajan, Dana, Pratigraha. Are you doing that? Then how are you a Brahmana? Such undue claims to being a higher caste man make the system of scientific social orders into a caste system. So this system is not bad. Varnashrama system is not bad. It is a very scientific system, as I showed you from Bhagavad Gita. This scientific system is meant to elevate one towards pure devotional service. But when you don't identify a person as Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra based on his swabhava, based on his nature, rather you accept someone as Brahman, Kshatriya based on his birth, or you just reject the system wholesale. That's another extreme. We don't have anything to do with Varnashram system. It's not possible. Then if you're not following Varnashram system, what type of work are you doing? The time when you're not doing direct devotional service, the rest of the time, what type of work are you doing? You're doing vikarma. That means work which is not prescribed in Shastra. will that not have an effect on you? Will that not affect your consciousness? When you're working, when you're under the influence of passion and ignorance, is that not going to affect you? Chanting is the only method for Kali Yuga. That means you should chant only. Daiva Varnashram Dharma is not given for Satya Yuga. This is given by our acharyas. It is given by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It is given by the Goswamis in the line. Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur and Srila Prabhupada. Why now all of a sudden we should say that no. This is not for us. Already we are seeing. We make devotees. Devotees are going out, doing Sankirtan, distributing books, training devotees. And after a few years, they are gone. You don't even know where they are. Unless you have some position in the temple, all the other devotees are gone in all temples, not just one temple. So this is because we are not following the system the way it is to be followed. Such undue claims to being a higher caste man make the system of scientific social order into a caste system, completely degrading the original system. How clearly Srila Prabhupada is writing. The original system is a scientific system. Thus, society is now in chaos and there is neither peace nor prosperity. It is clearly stated herein that unless there is the vigilance of a strong king, impious, unqualified men will claim a certain status in society, like we have now. And that will make the social order perish. If it were not important, why Srila Prabhupada took all the trouble to explain in all these purports? Why is he talking about Varnashrama system? This is directly there in the shloka, Bhagavatam shloka, the role of a king, and even Varnashrama is Bhagavan Rachita. It is created by the Lord. So I will stop there today. Thank you all so much for your kind attention. If you have any questions or comments, please go ahead. Or if you don't agree with what I said. I just become very sad because I look at our children. Somehow, as the days are going by, they're just getting, it's just becoming watered down more and more and more. Our children, the next generation, is not even getting what we got. And now, all the direct disciples, Srila Prabhupada disciples, they're all passing away. What is it that we are going to hand over to the next generation? If we don't follow the system properly, what is it that we will give? We should give pure devotional service. We should become those like a postman. But for that, a proper setup is required. Simply coming once on Sundays and staying there for 1 hour, that type of association is not sufficient to fight the power of Maya in the form of the modes of passion and ignorance that they're dealing with every day in the association of non-devotees. Please think about that. Thank you so much. I will end here. Granthraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Samaveta Gaur Bhakta Vrind ki Jai. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa
sindhubhyo cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavabhyo namo
Vaishnavabhyo ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Mother Archana Bhakti. So it's bad timing for me. I had a question, but I just went under a tunnel and I lost connection. Can you hear me
You can
okay?
ask now, Prabhuji. Yes, I can hear you.
So I was starting to type it in the chat because I didn't think I would get a chance to talk it, but then I lost my chat when I went through the tunnel. Anyway, so the question is, what is the proposal to begin such a system?
Yes.
So you identified the problem quite clearly. The challenge I see is how do you set up a system? Parents
Yes.
have to be willing to expose the children to be part of this type of evaluation, and then identification, and then educating them properly according to that. Which kind of goes against the current society, which we know is flawed, but it's the only alternative that's really being presented right now for us. So what's your proposal to start something like this?
So as you mentioned very rightly, we need an alternative system. We cannot expect that in the existing system, while being in the existing system, we will achieve our goals. Srila Prabhupada's movement consists of 4 movements. There are 4 stages or 4 movements. First one is called the Sankirtan movement. Second one is called temple entry movement. Third one is initiation movement. We have come to the 3rd stage. But then there is a 4th movement called the classless society movement. So Sankirtan movement means you go on the streets, you distribute the holy name, and you introduce them. You distribute books, you introduce them to Krishna consciousness. The second stage is after they are introduced, they are invited to come to the temple. This is called temple entry movement. So now they start coming to the temple on Sundays, and when they become more serious, maybe they start coming to the morning programs if they are living nearby. So this is temple entry movement. So in temple entry movement, they are actually getting trained, following 4 regulative principles, chanting 16 rounds, rising in the morning, offering your food, all this training happens. Temple entry movement. When you're trained, then the 3rd thing is now they become serious enough to commit themselves. Initiation. They come to the point of taking initiation. What happens after this? After you take initiation, when Srila Prabhupada was here, they were all living in the temple. He kept everyone in the temple. Grihasthas, brahmacharis, everybody was living in the temple, and everybody was practicing all day. He engaged them all day on the standard of pure devotional service. But as the movement grew bigger and bigger, it was obvious you cannot fit everyone in that temple, especially all the grihasthas, and then they will have their children. All the grihasthas cannot be accommodated in the temple. That's not the system. They need to have their society. They should have their communities, and such community is called a Daiva Varnashrama community. After they come to the point of initiation, these grihasthas should live away from the city on a farm community, which is self-sufficient. Devotees have tried farm communities, but the flaw there was you should have the entire body. Simply having farm is not sufficient. There has to be Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras. There was no Kshatriya to protect. So that was the flaw. Kshatriyas also have to be trained. So now, how to start this? First of all, in the present situation, for us to even start a community, first of all, we have to have the knowledge. We have to have, Prabhupada said we need Varnashrama college. College means there has to be professors, there has to be teachers who are going to train the students. Who will be the students? All the people who are visiting the temple. So like every Sunday we have Sunday school, like that every Sunday there has to be a class after the Sunday program, or maybe before the Sunday program, sometime devotees will come together and they will talk. So the beginning, if you're asking me how to start, the beginning is to start reading the book called Speaking on Varnashrama Dharma. This is Srila Prabhupada's instructions about Varnashrama Dharma. Devotees can start with this. Just come together every Sunday and talk about, read from that book, Speaking about Varnashrama Dharma. Then you'll understand what is Srila Prabhupada's vision. These are from his classes, from his morning walks, conversations. It's in the written form. It's written, compiled by Hare Krishna Devidasi. After this, now when we read this, we will become convinced that yes, this is the solution. We have to save our devotees from this current existing system. How to do that? We should have our own alternate system. Where do we start that system? To start that system, we know we need a Gurukul. We know we need some sort of, Ayurvedic knowledge, so that when devotees fall sick, how will they be treated? We know we should know how to build our homes. Then we need teachers to teach our Gurukul kids like this: agriculture, cow protection. Whatever we need for a self-sufficient community, we have to start educating ourselves from the existing system. There are Ayurvedic schools and things like that, people who are already working in these different fields. So each one of us who is now convinced after reading that book, Speaking about Varnashrama, we should start gathering information in each field so that we will become the future teachers of this Varnashrama college. And every Sunday when we come together, these devotees should come and share their findings during that week, or once in 2 weeks or 3 weeks. And then you have to prepare the curriculum that is to be taught. And then we will have the actual Varnashrama college, where the devotees who are coming to the temple, they can actually sign up and they'll get trained. This is the start. So first we need Varnashrama research groups. This is called a Varnashrama research group. The devotees who are gathering information about the various departments that are needed for us to have our own devotee community. This is just awareness and education. We start from here. And after that, the next thing is, then these people who have done sufficient research, they will become the teachers. Now you start educating the people, training them. So each person, we are already working outside. So take some extra time, weekends or in the evenings. We spend that time trying to gather this information. And then when you have these people who are skilled in those particular fields, the families, they will buy their land. Already devotees have their homes and their properties. Now all the devotees will buy land in one particular area, and that land will be that devotee's property only. It is not that, you have to give it to the temple or anything. That is his property. But all the devotees will come together as a community. Grihasthas, we are talking about Grihasthas. They will have their school and all that. So the idea is to create a self-sufficient community, so that we don't have to send our children to the outside schools. We don't have to go to the outside hospitals. We don't have to go to the outside corporate world for our job. And in this way, when life becomes simplified, we'll have more time left for hearing. And also, because our association is devotee association all day long, this is going to be very nourishing to progress in building our firm faith. So that is just a rough outline. This is how we have to start. That was Srila Prabhupada's plan. He said we have to start with Varnashrama college. That's the beginning. Education is first. There is a roadmap. There is, guidelines are there. But first we have to educate ourselves. It may not happen in our lifetime, but if we don't take a step in this direction now, we won't leave anything for the next generation. We have to start something, at least get the materials ready. We do the research and we have the materials ready. And so that the next, like in a relay, you hand over the baton to the next person. Like our acharyas also. Whatever Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur did, Srila Prabhupada carried it to the next level. He spread throughout India. Srila Prabhupada took it throughout the world. And Srila Prabhupada said 50% of my mission is still incomplete. He was not able to introduce the Varnashrama system. Now, that has to be taken forward. It was neglected all these years, and we are seeing the consequences already. At least now we should do something so that even if we are not able to do completely in our lifetime, we would have started something and the next generation can take it forward. I know you're driving, so I think I can stop here.
Detailed explanation. It's certainly a challenge, and it's certainly a worthy challenge to do. A big part of this is like the existing devotees, the devotees that are here now. This is what I see. There's a level of maturity we have to come to understand the seriousness of it. And that can also be kind of a challenge when you need people that are understand the importance and the seriousness of it. When devotees aren't mature, I'll just give an example. I've lived in the temple before, and there's situations serving in the temple. People identify themselves in different ways. I remember there was a point in time in Philadelphia, Ravinda Shri Prabhu was here. He was very Brahminical. He had disciples that were very Brahminical. They were the Brahmins, supposedly of the community, but maturity necessarily wasn't there. And they would look at a trash can overflowing, and they'd say, "This isn't my service. I'm a Brahmana." And so when I talk about immaturity, this is the type of, sometimes this is what you're dealing with. Like, I shouldn't be doing this. I should be telling somebody what to do because I'm not I'm a Brahmana. So we have to find somebody who's more like a Sudra to do this work. And in a community, that's very hard to live like that. It's a very hard way to go about life. So one of the challenges that I see, because I agree with what you're saying, I agree with the need, and even the way you proposed it, there was a nice plan that you had. Some of it could be challenging, getting land, but devotee cooperation seems to be the biggest challenge. And just bring the devotees to the point of maturity and working together.
It all begins with education, Prabhuji. That type of mentality is because of not having the proper understanding of the philosophy. So that is why it is not at all being recommended that we should just immediately Buying land is far away. It's not anywhere close. Now, the first thing is to awakening the devotees to the need. We need this, and then why we need this, and showing it from the scripture. There is no question of thinking that, the Brahmana is superior and the Shudra is inferior. That is the caste system. So therefore, educating them properly about the whole system, this is important. That's why I said we start off with reading that book, Srila Prabhupada's. It's called Speaking About Varnashram Dharma. Srila Prabhupada presents it. It's in his words. You're showing it to them in his words. I understand, I'm not a leader. You are practically dealing with that. But again, it's about education. We have to start there. Making them aware of this. And as far as it being difficult, of course it's difficult. It was difficult for Srila Prabhupada with so much opposition. But you see, he took that step. It was not easy.
Do you know if is any example nowadays in ISKCON about Varnashrama system that devotees are following? Any community in any part of the world?
There are some in India, they have some, but again, it is not full-fledged. It's not actually Varnashrama society. They have farm communities where they are living off of land and cows, but they don't have Kshatriyas. And what has been happening is they're attacked by outsiders. They set fires to the temples. Recently also it happened. That's why if you have part of the system, it's not going to work. You need to have a complete Varnashrama system. You need to have Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Shudras. Kshatriyas are missing. And that's our class today also. If a strong Kshatriya is not there, then these rogues and thieves, plunderers, they will attack. And that's what has been happening time and again. There are some farm communities in India, yes, but not a full-fledged, and no Varnashrama colleges. His Holiness Bhakti Raghav Maharaj holds Varnashrama college. It's more like seminars, once a year. It's not like a actual physical college, like throughout the year. So that's something that we can think about also. So whatever expertise devotees have in these various sciences, they educate, right? At least we can facilitate that, maybe once in a year, maybe in summertime. And like for 1 week, or if you have more speakers, then for, 10 days, 15 days, like that. Just bringing an awareness in people that this is important, instead of just pushing it to the side, putting it on the shelf, pretending like it doesn't exist. It is not practical. At least let's talk about it. It begins there when we start talking about it. Otherwise, how can we call ourselves, faithful followers of Srila Prabhupada? It's one thing, when we are not able to do because of immediate constraints. Like as of now, I'm not able to start a community and move there. And we're still working outside. Yes, that is said in a tone of helplessness and humility and prayer in front of Krishna that we are not able to do it. Please help us. But we know that's where we want to go. Please give us some direction. That is called honesty. But if we say, no, this is not practical, this is not going to work, this is not for us, and if you push it aside and it is too complicated, we are having, nice life now, why should we spoil this? That's not honesty. And what to speak of if you're talking against it, preaching against it? You spoil your lives by following Varnashram system. That is an offense. These are the words of Krishna. These are the words from Bhagavatam. How can we say that you spoil your life by following Varnashram system? Like that. I mean, we are already seeing the world condition. Gas prices going up, wars. It's very, very, delicate situation. Very soon we have to, Srila Prabhupada said we should be prepared. Millions, they will come in millions to our farm communities and we should be prepared to feed them. And when they come to our communities, obviously they will all take to Krishna consciousness. They will all become devotees. But are we prepared for that? War is inevitable. It is going to happen. But are we prepared? We should start thinking seriously. Thank you. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
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 Samapeta Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.
Jai.
Vancha kalpatarubhyascha
Asindhuve vacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Arantakoti Vaishnavendra ki jai.
Thank you.